Welcome to the Arkansas Cattle Business Podcast, brought to you by the Arkansas Cattlemen's Association. Here, we dive into the heart of Arkansas's cattle industry, where legislation, education, advocacy, and development come together to support the hardworking cattle producers of the natural state. Whether you're in the pasture or on the road, this is your connection to the people, policies, and programs shaping the future of our industry. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Arkansas Cattle Business Podcast. We're excited to be back with you this week.
Yeah. So, we missed a week last week. Sorry about that, y'all.
Yeah, it was a very busy week here at the Cattlemen's. We had a couple area conferences. We had the Beef Council meeting, and then on Friday, which is typically, we try not to, but usually the day we record podcasts, which is also the day they release, we actually had the opportunity to go to the Arkansas Agriculture Hall of Fame and see one of our own get inducted. So we got to see Mr. Aubrey Blackman of Perry County get inducted into the Ag Hall of Fame on Friday lunchtime afternoon. It was very exciting, very humbling, very energizing, and just very inspiring to hear his story, to see his family, and to share with the rest of Arkansas agriculture how much Mr. Aubrey means to the cattlemen's.
Yeah, that was really cool to get to recognize him. He doesn't think he needs to be recognized, but he does. He's done so much for the ACA and cattle producers everywhere.
Yes, so we highlighted it on social media. It was in the magazine as well. We'll include it again upcoming in the magazine. And so, if you don't know Mr. Aubrey of Perry County, you are missing a gem of a human. And so I encourage you to find him at a cattleman's event and introduce yourself. He is 90 this year and has been involved with the cattlemen's for over 50 years. He helped found the Perry County Cattlemen's. Words are hard. He helped found the Perry County Cattlemen's in 1970. He always tells the story. It's like 4 guys sat in a feed sack in the back of the feed store in Perry County. It was like, hey, we should probably do this. We should probably do something. And it's just so... again, words are hard. It's like it's crazy for me to think like, oh no, like this is one of the humans that actually started this. Like this is one of the people that helped us get to where we are in 2025. All because of a lot of work from a lot of individuals just like Mr. Aubrey. And so we were honored to nominate him. I'm very excited to see that he was inducted. And so that was where we were on Friday. We had quite the turnout. The majority of his family showed up. All of his ACA family showed up. We had some of our executive committee there. We had some members from Perry County come. We had our former exec, Cody Burkham, and his wife, Jess, got to come and sit with us. And they are truly, their family, and their family to Mr. Aubrey. And so we were honored and excited to be there. And then we also had special guest, Congressman Bruce Westerman, came and sat and ate lunch with us as well. And so we were honored to be able to host him and to share our love of Mr. Aubrey with him. We have a video from that we did with working with Farm Bureau, and did that video featuring Mr. Aubrey for the Ag Hall of Fame induction. And so we'll be sharing that shortly on social media. And so if you want to learn a little bit more about his story, I encourage you to go watch that video or to read about his story in the magazine. Again, he always says, oh, I don't deserve this. Like I'm not deserving of this. And no, there's no one more deserving than Mr. Aubrey. He is very, very outstanding, amazing gentleman, and we were honored to be able to honor him. So we spent Friday there, and then had a foundation meeting following that. So we had full intentions of recording a podcast, didn't quite get to it. Wanted to be able to spend time with Mr. Aubrey and his family there at the Ag Hall of Fame. So I appreciate your patience and your understanding. Legislative session was also in recess for spring break, and so we would have had a very small legislative update anyway, and so we appreciate your patience and understanding as we just kind of skipped a week.
Yep.
But we're back, and we're excited to be back with quite an episode and quite a lot of things to talk about today. So I'm going to adjust my mic here if you hear it. Sorry. Oh, silence. All right, also I'm going to move my drink because that seems like a very dangerous move to just leave my drink sitting there next to all the electronics.
Yeah, that would be. And we're kind of having a little technical difficulty with my microphones or my headphones. If you see me doing something, just ignore it.
Yeah, she has to sit here and hold her cord together.
Yeah, or I can't, or I just hear out of one ear and it's.
Yeah. We also know that last week, this week, depending on when you were listening to this, was a rough week for a lot of our producers, a lot of our members. Northeast Arkansas, once again, hit with a tornado. And we just, our hearts go out to those cities and those families and those producers and agriculturalists that are affected by that. That was seeing the videos from that Lake
It was
City,
crazy.
Monet tornado were overwhelming, very scary, very wide tornado. And then we're recording this on Friday, and rumor has it Central Arkansas has bad weather coming in today. And so, welcome to April. Welcome to April. And so please be safe. Keep an eye on storms. On top of that, we also have record flooding and record rainfall. We went from a drought to floods real quick.
Real quick. Welcome to Arkansas.
Yeah, normally it's the other way around. I usually joke and say, hey, we're always like 2 weeks away from a drought. Well, not a drought anymore in the majority of Arkansas. So we're seeing literally record flooding coming through. I mean, we're here in Central Arkansas, and it's finally not raining as I look out the window.
It's foggy.
But it was raining all day. Let's say Friday, so all day Thursday, most of the day Wednesday. Like, our hearts go out to the people, obviously, that were affected by the tornadoes, but also by this rain and by this weather. Really coming at a poor time, especially I know we've had some temperature shifts and everything else coming up. And so our thoughts and prayers are with everyone as they recover from tornado damage and as they are facing continued storms this weekend.
Yeah, we drove up to Jonesboro last night. We're recording this on Friday morning, April 4th. We went up there for the ASU meeting. It was cool to meet with them, but we seen a lot of damage going up through there. There was a barn, and the tin was just scattered throughout the fields and stuff. It was not a great sight.
There are a lot of tractors parked. I know for our row crop friends, this is a hard time of year to get this amount of rain. And so hard any time of year to get this amount of rain, but especially hard as they had already done a little bit of work, planted some crops, and then just see it kind of disappear. Mm-hmm. And so very tough for them. We do want to touch a little bit on cattle producers and the rain and some tips and advice. And I know University of Arkansas System Division of Agriculture shared an article this week that included some reminders and tips for cattle producers as we face these record rainfalls. So I'm going to let Norlie take those away.
Yeah, so we have some bullet points here just to cattle care during flooding. So make sure your cattle have access to clean water. Make sure your feed's dry. It don't get wet so it don't get molded. Foot rot and disease risk. I know we have a lot of trouble with our cattle sometimes with foot rot. It's not fun. Just watch your cattle. And then fence damage checks. We hate that if you get so much water, your fences get blown out. So just hopefully y'all don't get that, but just be mindful of it. So
yep, and where you can, moving cattle out of wet ground, muddy areas can help decrease that risk of foot rot. No, it's not the case for everyone. We don't always have higher, drier ground to move them to, but keeping that in mind and just trying to be cognizant of keeping an eye on it, because it is. I think the swing is really what's going to get people to. We went from 82 degrees, I think, and then the other night it was like 50 something, which doesn't sound. I mean, it's not cold. Like 50 degrees by no means is technically cold, but that swing, I think we'll be in for some pneumonia and some other diseases too. So just keep an eye on it. We know that y'all know how to take care of your cattle, but just what a time. And then also it's all supposed to snow in Northwest Arkansas.
Yeah.
Welcome to Arkansas. You got all the weather in one. We had hail, we had tornadoes, we had record rainfall, and now we have snow. So great.
Just welcome to Arkansas.
Welcome to Arkansas in April. We love it.
Yep.
So, but yeah, that's our update for that. If you have questions, if you have concerns, reach out to your local extension agent. They are there to help you with anything that you may need. And so let's pick this up a little bit. Like I said, as one of my friends said the other day, like, oh, this got really sad. Uno reverse.
Uno reverse card laid on the table.
I was like, okay. So that's where we are now. So we're going to lift this up a little bit because I did get sad. Let's recap area conferences because we didn't have a podcast last week, so we didn't. We had 2 area conferences last week. Where'd we go? What did we do?
It was so fun. Where did we go? We went to Hot Springs and Conway. I feel like that's forever ago, but it really hasn't been. They were really fun. We got to go to Camp Couchdale and then the Conway Expo Center. So
yes, and so those 2 wrapped up our area conferences officially for the month of March, and then we moved into April, and so here we are in April. But what a month! I said previously in previous episodes that this was one of my favorite months. It is one of the busiest months for the Cattlemen's Association, but it's one of my favorites because we get to see so many of our members that we would not necessarily see otherwise. So we ran the numbers. We had a record attendance this year at our area conferences. We had over 2,500 members, and so that was very exciting. It's the highest number we've had in at least 5 years, okay, since we've started tracking those numbers. And then we had the majority of our areas received or had a record turnout as well. And so the majority of our areas saw pre-COVID numbers of attendance, or higher, which was astronomical to me because that feels like a lifetime ago. Mm-hmm. In events worlds, I feel like events technically never truly recovered from COVID. And so to see pre-COVID or higher than pre-COVID numbers was very exciting for us, especially coming off the heels of a dues increase. And so gave us an opportunity to just meet with our members, talk about it, and give an update of what the Cattlemen's is doing with that dues increase, but then also network with vendors, talk with the producer panel, hear those things. And so we want to say thank you. Thank you for attending. Thank you for coming to area conferences. Thank you for joining us for a steak dinner. We truly appreciate the opportunity to visit with you all across the state. Thank you to our sponsors, Farm Credit and the Cattlemen's Education Grant. Both of those made it possible where we could have that producer panel at the area conferences, which I think was one of my favorite pieces of it because it was just something different every night, mm-hmm. different insights, different perspectives, and just a diversity, showing the diversity of the industry that we're in. We think all the time, we're like, oh, it's the cattle industry. No, it is a fairly large spectrum that we're in, and so being able to see a little bit of it, very impressive. Very exciting for that. So what was your standout moment? What did you enjoy the most?
I would say Area 7 was it was special to me because that was technically my area since I live in White County, and my parents and my grandparents got to come and see what I do for my work. I mean, I come home and I tell them about it, but they don't actually get to see the work and see the vendors that I talk to the people that I talk to every day. So they got to meet Scott. They got to meet, which they met Michelle and Randy. They've come to the office before, but they got to meet our leadership and some of our vendors that I talk to on the regular. So that was special to me.
It is very special, I feel like, when family gets to come, because that's what I talk about all the time, especially when I came here the first time. Came from Alabama, I was like, oh, like, this group has become my family. Mm-hmm. And so it's almost like, oh, like, my two families get to meet.
Literally. Family reunion, and y'all don't know about it.
Yeah, so it is a very special moment, for sure. I think for me, it really was just the ability and watching. I know our leadership team does a great job. I'm very grateful for them, but being able to just say, hey, y'all have got this. I'm going to go talk to our vendors. I'm going to go check on this. I'm going to go check on that. But our leadership team, seeing them shine and come through and work together really helped out. But then also just seeing the people come in and network and do the panel, being willing to step out of their comfort zone. That's always something I'm a very big proponent of, is stepping outside of your comfort zone. And I think every single producer that was on that panel, every single 9 panels, they're like, I don't know why you're asking me. Like, mm-hmm. I don't know why I'm the one doing this. No, it's because you have very good insight to share. You have a very unique perspective. You have this, you have that. And every single one time they're like, I don't know, like, but to see them kind of come into their own, get comfortable with it, and just be willing to be authentic, I think is what really made those panels successful. And so thank you to every single person that was willing to serve on a panel and willing to answer questions and kind of step out of their comfort zone. It was exciting to see our own members teach each other about what they're doing.
And we hope y'all enjoyed it. I know we enjoyed it, but coming from somebody that's local, like, we really hope that y'all truly learned something from it. And if y'all have any feedback, please let us know. We'd love to improve this event every year going forward. So just let us know what you'd like to see, what you'd like to see different, what we did good on, please. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. And so I think that's a big piece of it, is like, we do want to continue improving this. I feel like we've seen it grow, and we've seen it grow. Obviously, this year we had record attendance, and so how can we keep working on that? Obviously, some of these we know the location we're going to have to figure out as we continue to hopefully grow. We will outgrow some of our locations, and so that's a big piece we'll look at in the future. And then next year we'll be looking at our sponsors and our program as well to kind of see what we're going to focus on, what we're going to learn, and what we're going to provide to our members. And so it seems crazy to think, but we're already starting to work on March and area conferences next year. So we hope to see you there. If you came out, we really appreciate it. Again, thank you. We would not be able to do those events without our vendors and without our sponsors, but mainly without you, our members. So thank you for joining us for a steak dinner. We hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
All right. Next. Very heavily, we have a big legislative update.
Hats on the hill.
I hope you're ready.
You're at the Capitol literally all week this week because we went to the Women in Ag conference. That was a lot of fun. We got to see some of our members. Shout out to Randolph Lawrence County. Got to talk to some of y'all. But yeah, and we were there Monday and Tuesday. Then Michelle was like, "All right, deuces. I got to leave to go to the Capitol," and I was like, "Cool."
Yes. Yeah, I did hate leaving. I am on the board of Women in Ag, and so I help run that conference and help plan it. And I walked in Tuesday morning, and I was like, hi, there's like a whole day left, but I have to go to the Capitol. And so that was the life of a lobbyist. And so making sure, so we did spend a lot of time at the Capitol this week. I think every day except Monday, I have been at the Capitol because they came off spring break. So last week they were on spring break, or the last week of March. That's going to be the easiest way to say that. The last week of March, they were on spring break, so they were in recess. They had time to go home to their districts, spend time with their families, take vacations, just do a little breather. I know that a lot of people think like, oh, as a legislator, you only work like 3 months every other year. Like, no. Yes, but no. Like, that is when legislative session happens, but they have special sessions, they have joint sessions, they have the Legislative Council that meets outside of session, they have all these other pieces, they have a fiscal session, and so like there are a lot of moving parts to being a legislator, and so that break was needed for them, I think, to come back refreshed and renewed to hit the ground running for the last maybe 2.5 weeks of session, which they did. 100% did. And so we have a big legislative update for you. Before we do that, I do want to give the briefest of shout outs. We were also able to work with Farm Credit on an event this week. And so Farm Credit hosted a legislative cook for the entire legislative session, staff, legislators, everything. And so, of course, the timing of that was top notch, ideal, and fell directly into the day it rained all day long.
Heavy rain.
And
Mind you.
Yeah, so shout out, Farm Credit hosted that event, and we were able to cook for them. And so shout out to my team, Randy and Nora Lee, for stepping up because I, again, had to be at the Capitol. And then also to our leadership, Travis Payne from Conway County, and then Philip DeSalvo, our immediate past president, both stepped in and came and cooked in the rain, literally pouring rain, here at the office, and helped us cook those steaks for the legislature. I heard really good feedback on the steaks, so that was exciting. And so really appreciate it. Really gave us an opportunity to showcase some of what we do throughout the month of March, cooking steaks, but also just being able to say, hey, like, here's a steak dinner or a steak lunch for y'all. So it was a really big event that we did not necessarily We didn't host, we didn't do anything, but we were just able to cook steaks and work with Farm Credit on that event. And so, great event, very good turnout, even in the rain at the Capitol, but grateful to my team and my officer team for making that happen. So, shout out to y'all.
Woo.
So, so that's our general legislative update. We've had a lot of movement. We've had a lot of bills introduced. We've had a lot of bills go through committee. We've had a lot of things in the last week. I've been saying, I think for the rest of the podcast, it's been like hurry up and wait. Yeah, I don't think there's a wait anymore. I think it's just hurry up. And so as they approach the end of session, they are going nonstop. I mean, we've had 3-hour ag committee meetings on the Senate side. We've had 2-hour ag committee meetings on the House side, just trying to get bills heard, debated, discussed, and moving. So, been a busy week. And I'll dive in here in a sec.
Yeah.
So, what you got?
I don't even know. I haven't even looked at this.
While I drink my drink.
Oh! SB 290.
Oh, yeah, my favorite.
The fun one.
Yes.
We actually did get movement on that. There is an update, officially.
Yes. So that's also part of the reason we're recording this Friday morning instead of Thursday, was because we were waiting for movement on this bill. And so SB 290, to remind y'all, if you do not know, it is the permitting moratorium bill that addresses, takes the authority to create a permitting moratorium from a state agency and puts that power in the hands of the legislature through the Arkansas Legislative Council or the Joint Budget Committee, depending on if they're in session or not, so whichever governing body exists within that group. And so the Cattlemen supported this bill. I think the last podcast maybe we talked about how we had 2 of our members come in and testify on behalf of this bill. Because for us, it's a private property rights issue. It is a legislative process issue. It is a right to farm issue. We want that power to be in the hands of the people that are elected by Arkansans, not by a state agency. And so that bill was heard in Senate Agriculture Committee on Tuesday, which is a bit that is the reason I left Women in Agriculture conference to go to the Senate Ag Committee. And so it was heard. There was one amendment on that bill, which just added in that Joint Budget Committee, which is literally just depending on if they're in session or not, of who has power, ALC or the Joint Budget Committee. And so that bill was passed out of the Senate Ag Committee. It was discussed, debated again. Testimony was heard. And so we had a lot of testimony, obviously, on behalf of the Buffalo River. There was a lot of testimony on behalf of the Buffalo River protection. And then ourselves and Farm Bureau, myself and Farm Bureau, spoke on behalf of this bill. We were able to get it out of committee, so it's very exciting. And so that was positive movement. It went on the Senate floor on Thursday. All my days are running together. Went on the Senate floor Thursday. It was supposed to be there pretty early on in the agenda. Did not go early on the agenda at all. It was about 3 o'clock yesterday, I believe, when it went through, and I'm pulling up my notes right here to make sure I have the votes correctly. And so it passed out of the Senate. I'll say that again. It passed out of the Senate with a vote of 22 in favor and 9 against. And so it is now moving to the House Agriculture, Forestry, and Economic Development Committee. That is a big win for cattle producers. That is a big win for Arkansas agriculture. That is a big win for the legislative process, because this puts, again, all this bill does, it does not immediately remove the moratoriums on the Buffalo River watershed or on the Central Arkansas water. All it does is say, they have to follow this process just like any other moratorium. They go before ALC or joint budget. They justify their moratorium. They are either approved or denied. And so all this bill does is put that power in the hands of the people that you elected. That's it. And so we are very excited about the movement there. We will be, of course, at the House Ag Committee meeting when this is heard, planning again to have producer members there to testify on behalf of this bill, and hope to see, again, some positive movement on the House Ag side and on the House side. And so I hope to have a even better update for you next week, but we will see and keep you apprised of what is going on. And so that is very exciting. That was a very big win. That is something that's been in the works, it feels like, the entirety of session, and we've talked about it nonstop. We'll continue talking about it, and so we will keep you updated as we go.
Yep. So I know a lot, like every week now, it seems like more bills are being introduced.
Mm-hmm.
So what has caught your attention?
Yeah, you think with there only being like 2.5 weeks roughly of session left, in theory, that introductions would stop. So they haven't. And so we've had some bills introduced throughout spring break. We also had bills that just been edited, amended, and come off the deferred list. So I have quite the update for you. I have my notes. I'm going to run through these fairly quickly, especially if they don't necessarily pertain directly to cattle producers, but to agriculture in general. And I will say this is not a comprehensive list of every single bill that is there that is at the State House that is touching agriculture right now. This is just the ones that I believe have the largest potential impact on cattle producers. So we just did 290, and so like I said, that was passed out of the Senate with a majority vote of 22, and so that is very exciting for cattle producers. Another exciting bill for cattle producers or for agriculture in general is House Bill 1594 by Representative Deanne Vaught. If you, like me at this point, can't remember all of these bill numbers because there's thousands of them, literally over thousands of them. And so that is the bill to establish a sales tax exemption card for farmers. And so making it a little bit easier for farmers to get that tax exemption as opposed to filling out a paper every single time they go to the feed store or every single time they go to buy something that is exempt from sales tax. And so this would be a card. It did, when we first talked about it, way back a few episodes ago, it was a bill that would have just allowed us to just have a card available for farmers. There was some pushback on that because of the potential revenue impact, and so it got deferred, had some discussion, all of the things. It did come back to the House the House Revenue and Tax Committee, with the potential or with the proposal of a $20 fee or a $20 price application fee, for lack of a better term, an application fee for $20 for 8 years. You don't have to replay every year. You just get that. You get it for 8 years. And so that was approved. It did go through Senate Revenue went through House Revenue and Tax. With that amendment, it passed the House on April 1st, so earlier this week, with a vote of 91 in favor and no one against, a few people not voting or being present. And so that was very good, positive movement there. Also passed the Senate Revenue and Tax Committee. And so it now moves to the Senate floor with a recommendation to do pass. That was a big win, passing the Senate Revenue and Tax Committee. It only did that because of the fee. If there had not been a $20 so what that $20 does is make this a revenue neutral bill. And so right now the Senate Revenue and Tax Committee is not hearing any bills that have a fiscal impact. None. 0 bills. And so if this bill had a fiscal impact, which on the House side at first it did, and so this makes it where this bill moves through. So while we obviously would have preferred for there to be no money associated with this, $20 for 8 years is better than nothing. And so it's better than not having this ID card. And so we're excited to see that. We'll keep you updated as we move through the Senate floor. Another bill that we were actually able to work with the sponsors and the Department of Agriculture on is House Bill 1740. And so it aims to exempt specific agricultural information from the Freedom of Information Act. And so it protects records such as certificates of veterinary inspection and personal information related to animal electronic identification tags from public access. And so essentially this is a FOIA exemption bill just for information tied to EID tags. And so it passed out of the House, went through the House State Agencies Committee, passed out of that committee, and then passed the House floor on April 1 with a vote of 94 yeas and 0 nays. That is a huge margin for a FOIA exemption bill. So very excited. It was referred to the Senate state agencies, and actually yesterday, to Thursday, April the 3rd, it passed out of Senate state agencies with a recommendation to pass. And so it'll be going to the Senate floor next week. And so we're having a lot of conversations with the senators about how this bill protects producers' private information and also how it can help protect youth's private information that is tied to that EID tag. And so making sure that if somebody FOIAs that information, not available to get it from the Department of Agriculture. So we do support that bill. Excited to see some movement there. Another bill that we are in support of, a couple other bills that we're going to go through, and then I'll do some that we just are keeping an eye on. And so Senate Bill 124 by the Senate Budget Committee, an act to appropriate funds for the University of Arkansas System Division of Agriculture. And so that has been re-referred to the Joint Budget Committee. So we're working with that committee to make sure that our friends at the Department of Agriculture, or our friends at the Division of Agriculture, have the ability to continue funding and paying people and providing services for cattle producers all across the state. House Bill 1148 by Representative Vaught. We talked about this literally, I think, one of the first episodes, and then it's been deferred since then. So it is the prohibiting of captured images or recordings of individuals on private property without consent using unmanned aircraft systems, aka drones. And so that bill passed the House with a vote of 97 yeas and 0 nays. It has been referred to the Senate Judiciary Committee, and so it'll be coming through here next week. And so we'll be keeping an eye on that bill. And then finally, the last bill that we are working on that we're in support of, and the rest of them will just be bills we're keeping an eye on. We have Senate Bill 338 by Senator Ricky Hill and Representative Bart Schultz. And so it establishes sales and use tax exemptions to encourage youth involvement in agriculture by supporting student farmers and their educational projects. And so it has been returned by the Senate Revenue and Tax Committee with the recommendation that it do pass. So I'll be going to the Senate floor this week, so we're excited to see that one, encouraging youth in agriculture and getting some tax exemptions there for the students. And so those are the bills that we're in support of that we've been keeping an eye on. Some of the bills, just for your knowledge, that we are working on, or just keeping an eye on, that we are not currently working because we do not have policy pertaining to them. One of them is Senate Bill 550 by Senator Hill, Representative Painter, and so it changes the name of the Arkansas Livestock and Poultry Commission to the Arkansas Board of Animal Health. And so that comes off the heels of the transition back in 2019, and then also the most recent conversion and conglomeration of boards, trying to decrease the number of boards that exist in the state of Arkansas. So the combination of the Livestock and Poultry Commission and the Vet Board. And so currently they are one entity. And so the belief here is this more correctly encompasses what this board is working on. And so it passed the Senate on April 2nd by a vote of 29 yeas and 2 nays. It'll be referred to the House Agriculture Committee. Again, we are neutral on this because we do not necessarily we don't have policy on this. And also, is a 71-page bill. We read every single page. There were no substantial changes to the commission or to the board besides the name, and putting into statute what the setup of the commission already is. And so it has been keeping an eye on that one. And then finally, we've got 2 more. House Bill 1852 by Representative Moore and Senator Stone establishes a comprehensive right to repair framework for agricultural equipment. And so it has been they've been amended a few times and been adopted by the House Agriculture Committee. It is passed out of the House Ag Committee, so it'll be on the House floor. And so we'll keep y'all updated on that as it goes through. And then finally, House Bill 1045 by Representative Kavanaugh. It was the burn bill that we talked about forever ago, feels like. And so at first it was imposing penalties. It has been amended to no longer impose penalties, to just, there was like a $50,000 fine at first. That fine did not exist in this current iteration of the bill. It passed out of the House Ag Committee, but yesterday on the House floor it failed with a vote of 33 in favor and 40 against. And so that bill did not pass the House floor. And then we've been keeping an eye on a lot of other bills. Like I mentioned, this is not a comprehensive list. It seems like it because that was a lot. Not a comprehensive list. Those are all bills that we are currently working and or keeping an eye on. That burn bill specifically, we were keeping an eye on because technically there was not a definition of crop residue burn or crop residue, and so we were concerned slightly that it could include forage, it could include hay, it could include all these things beyond just crop residue, beyond just row crop. And so we were keeping an eye on that and having those conversations with the sponsor and other entities to see if we could find that definition for crop residue burn. There are plenty of bills being introduced, being moved at the Capitol that we are looking at and keeping an eye on. And so having conversations with, because a lot of times at the Capitol, what I've seen, what I've realized is not that people want to pass legislation that's harmful to cattle producers or harmful to agriculture necessarily, but a lot of times that people don't realize the potential impact that a bill could have on agriculture. And so keeping an eye on those bills just to make sure that we can protect our industry. We had a bill that was introduced into the Senate Public Health Committee that would have definitely impacted agriculture drastically, and it was not necessarily the intent of that sponsor to do that. They just did not understand the impact that this bill could have. And so that's what the Cattlemen's was there for, to answer questions and say, hey, like, have we thought about this? Have we thought about that? This is what cattle producers use this item for. And so making sure that our elected officials understand and see and can learn about what agriculture is and how the work they're doing could impact us and impact what we're doing. And so with that, I'm checking, but I think that's a big piece of what we're doing. I will tell you, as Senate Bill 290 moves forward, right now that is the one that we're keeping our eye on the most. And so as it moves forward, we may be reaching out to you to reach out to your House members now that we've passed the Senate. And so reaching out to your House members, your representatives, and saying that you are supportive of this bill, because I do know that the other side will be doing the exact same. And so we'll have talking points available for you and making sure that you know. But if you don't have a relationship with your representative, with your elected official, again, I implore you, reach out to them, introduce yourself, because it means a lot more when a constituent reaches out to them. It means, it makes a very big difference. So with that, I will get off my soapbox. I could go on for hours and hours, but I will not. And so that is your biggest, maybe your biggest legislative update that we've had so far. But again, lots of positive movement, lots of people trying to get bills moving as we wrap up session, because we've got very little time left to try to solidify this. Mm-hmm. So, whew, what a time. That was a lot. All right. So, I'm done. I'm going to stop talking.
She's like, I am done.
My voice hurts now. I did finally recover from being sick, but I still cannot talk that much, apparently. All right, so let's shift gears and let's talk about membership. We're now in April, so we're halfway through, officially, technically, our membership drive. So let's talk about where we stand currently, what we're kind of thinking here at the office on membership.
Yeah, I've had a lot of questions being asked, like, how are we doing? So we're doing really well. We are at 56% of last year's numbers, so we're a little bit over 3,800 members. So,
yeah, 56% of total numbers.
Yes, total numbers from last year. So, and like I said, we're just over 3,800 people. So with more on my table being, the mailman just walked in through the door a couple minutes ago. Yep. So I'm sure he brought me some more. So,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that'll be a reminder. If you should have gotten a second renewal notice in March, if you have not paid your dues, you will not be receiving a magazine. The magazine cutoff occurred in April, and so if you haven't paid your dues, go ahead and go online, mail back in your renewal card, and get those dues paid so you can start getting your magazine again, because we know that's it's a big, beautiful thing that people like to see every single month, and be able to read about what the Cattlemen's is up to and seeing what we're working on, along with the feature stories and articles and information there.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And another thing, with membership cards, so we literally just ran the list this morning. Well, Michelle ran the list this morning, so we're going to get that. If you paid as of March 31st, you will receive a membership card in the mail pretty soon, hopefully within the next week or two. Mm-hmm. So.
Yep. So that's going to include all your benefits. It will also include an insert for your Globe Life, Liberty National, accidental death and dismemberment policy. And so that needs to be activated. We've talked about that before, but that needs to be activated to be able to be utilized. Obviously, again, we always hope you never need the accidental death or dismemberment policy, but you need to reach out to Lisa. Her information will be on that piece of paper. You can fill out that form, mail it back to her, and that way it can be activated, and you will be covered if you ever do need that. And that'll be included in with your membership card. If you paid your dues, they'll be coming out soon.
Yep. Yeah.
So let's talk. So we are in April. So
new monthly incentive prizes.
Yes. Let's talk about
So,
what our incentive prizes are.
Yeah. So Gallagher sponsored our April monthly incentive prizes. So thank you so much to Gallagher. They sponsored 3 S40 solar fence energizers and 3 liquid monitoring systems. So if you place in the top 3 this month, you will get 1 of each. So
Perfect. Then we also have in our hands, in our office, if you're watching this
I almost
online.
forgot.
I didn't. It's fine. I see them right here. If you're watching this and you can actually see us, I encourage you to do that because we make funny faces all the time and I talk with my hands a lot.
Me too.
And so, but we do have our recruiter rewards. So Norlie's talked about this before, where if you recruit 1 member, if you recruit 5 members, if you recruit 10 members, we've got different rewards available for producers that are new this year. And so she has those with us.
Yeah, and they all officially came in the mail. So if you recruit just 1 member, you will receive this little logo sticker. It's smaller than the last ones we've had. They're about as big as my hand.
Perfect size for your truck.
Perfect size for your vehicle. And then if you recruit 5 members, you'll see the gloves that I just showed you. They're size larges. They're obviously too big for me, but hey, every single glove pair is almost too big for me. I feel like.
Same.
So they're beef leather gloves. So, and then
Obviously.
these came in
Couldn't not
the
be
mail.
beef.
I'm so excited about these.
Here, look. I'm going to scoot this closer while you talk.
Okay. I'm super excited about that because that's like the first license plate I've ever made. It's an aluminum license plate, and it says, it just has the state of Arkansas on it with our logo in it, and it says beef.
I feel like
Arkansas Cattlemen's Association.
I feel like Vanna White over here. I just hold it up. Yes, I'm very excited about it. It's white. If you are not watching, it is a white license plate with black letters. It has the state of Arkansas with the ACA logo embedded in there, and has very large letters of the word beef.
Yep.
And so excited about those. So each one, if you recruit 1 member, you get your decal. If you recruit 5, you get your gloves. If you recruit 10, you get the license plate. These will automatically be mailed to you. It may not be immediate, like it may not be the same exact day that you recruit your 5th member that we mail out your gloves, but it will be within the next couple of weeks of, hey, you recruited 5 members. Okay, a couple of weeks after that, you'll be getting your gloves. And so we're going to try to keep on top of it and making sure that y'all get it. Again, we're just really excited to be able to have a tangible gift to say thank you. We still do have the Top Hand Club, sponsored by Preferred Livestock Products. And so we do still have your choice of a jacket, of a custom belt buckle, or a half registration to convention, sponsored by Preferred Livestock. And so those are options as well. If you recruit 15 new members or 30 renewed members, is how to get in the Top Hand Club. These are just extra steps along the way, extra rewards along the way. We're really grateful for, just to say that thank you for your support.
And these can be new and renewals.
True.
It's just 1, 5, and 10. So.
Yep, true.
And associate members do count for that. So if you don't know, if you recruit like a $200 member or a $400 member, if you recruit $200, you get 2 points. And then if you recruit 4, you get the 400, and then you get the 404 points. If that makes sense. Words are hard. But yeah, if you'd like to see where you stand on that, call me, email me. I'll let you know.
Yes. Yeah, at any point in time you can give, if you're a county recruiter, if you're just somebody out there recruiting members for fun, you do not have to necessarily be the county membership chair to do that. You can reach out to Norlie. She'll give you an update on how many members you have, or if somebody's paid their dues, or if you would like opportunity to be able to kind of see where people stand.
Yep.
And so we're more than happy to provide that to you every single month. So, what do we have coming up this month? That's a great question that I I don't really know. We have a lot coming up in April. It's a very busy month. We've got 4 county meetings next week. 4 county meetings next week, because I've got 3 on my calendar. You have 1 on your calendar. And so, great times. And then we've got...
I was just thinking of the third one, but then I remember the fourth one.
Yeah, and then we've got some all throughout the rest of the month of April. I think we only have 4 or 5 counties that we have not scheduled a county meeting. And then that'll complete our county meeting tour, where myself or Nora Lee will have gone to every single county within the last 2 years. And so we're going to be reaching out to those last 5 this week. And so making sure that we get those scheduled, but really excited to be able to come to your county and see y'all. And so that is a big piece of what we have coming up in April, along with our board meeting that we'll have at the end of the month. So we really appreciate you tuning in and listening. A little bit longer episode today because we did not have an episode last week, and we had a big legislative piece. As we end session, we're going to continue to have fairly big, hefty legislative updates, because, again, they are really just trying to get through things as they wrap up. But after session ends, well, we won't have those. We won't have them. We won't have a legislative update, Hats on the Hill, anymore. And so we will be filling that in with member interviews or membership discussions and things like that. So we're excited to see the next step of the podcast. Mm-hmm. So, all right, hit them with the normal outro of what we need to do and how they need to follow us and find us.
Always. Follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook. Subscribe to our newsletter. Post new things every week. We try to. A lot of them sometimes have some same information, but we try to add something each week. Subscribe to us on, like us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. All the things.
Yes, all the places you find podcasts.
Yep.
That's where you can find ours. Until next time, we appreciate you joining in. We appreciate you tuning in and catching up with us this week. Until next time, stay safe, stay dry. Take care of your cattle. Take care of yourself in this weather.
Yep.
We hope to see you next week.
Be careful in these storms, y'all.
Yes.
This is the Arkansas Cattle Business Podcast, your trusted source for all things cattle in the natural state.